Hello and welcome to Is This England, a show where we talk about old and new England games and ask just how England was this.
Southgate's boys have wrapped up their latest international break with a 2-0 win against the Ukraine. With 6 points on the board in Euros qualification, it's time to look ahead and wonder what's next for England.
Time can do. Baby, you mean everything to me. Darling, there's no danger with all that we've been through, that anyone could love you more than me. But I got news for you, babe. With all the make me think how it used to be, and it looks like I'm falling.
What is next for England? We don't know. We hope to find out.
Nothing in the forthcoming, is it? It's just a nice big break again after the last big break.
Yeah, a nice. Well, I think it's a bigger. Is it a bigger break than the last big break, or? Last one was December, and then we're playing again March. This is March and then June. It's probably the same.
Yeah, not too dissimilar, is it?
No, that's weird. But good to be back just a couple of days after the last one. It's almost as though we're building up a habit here.
Just regular recordings again. We don't usually do these little England ones, but we thought, get back in the swing of it, back in the habit. There's there was a game.
There was a game.
I think we swapped actually, because I saw very little of this game, and in comparison to the Italy game, so at least one of us has watched, in put together complete football.
I don't think you can ask for much more than that at this stage.
You simply can't. There's not enough hours in the day to watch all England. We've tried.
I was to say we're gonna try our best and continue to, but we're gonna start off by looking at the post-Italy game situation. Mm-hmm. All of the sort of narrative had essentially took place, we thought, post-Itoly, because I think it was a couple of days, wasn't it, since the Italy game when we caught up?
Yeah, I want to say it was the day after. I want to say it was Thursday night, and then we recorded Friday, and it came out around at the same time as well. So
yeah, we say it came out. I'm not sure what actually happened, but anyway, not long after the latest pod, our comeback pod came out. A big story, seemingly broke, with Gareth Southgate allegedly slamming Marcus Rashford,
banishing him from the land.
I put in the notes the word slamming in inverted commas, and I'm thinking, did anyone say it, or have I just said that?
You've been pre-defensive in like a sarcastic way.
Just picking him up and slamming him to the floor. Let that be a lesson too, yeah. But why was he so angry? Because the common line is essentially that Southgate said, we don't miss Marcus Rashford because he's not here often enough for us to miss him. So journalists gone, did you miss Gareth? Did you miss Gareth Southgate? Did you miss Marcus Rashford tonight? And he'll go, no, I picked him up and I slammed him to the floor. That was not a miss. Obviously, cue Twitter outrage and stupid headlines and no way of getting to the actual truth, because we need that, don't we, around England at all times.
We do, and also there are literally days to fill in an international break when nothing is happening. Like for the small window of time, there is a football match that breaks out amongst people just deciding, oh, actually, the Italy game's come and gone. I can't really be arsed. I've got a bit of a twinge. I'm going back to my club. And yeah, people just need something else to say. Oh, Reece James isn't going to play, and he probably wasn't going to play before as well. Like they've got nothing to say. So Marcus Rashford goes, and he's obviously pulled out the squad. He went to New York, and there's a lot of people just going, "I can't believe he's got. Why is he gone? I don't understand this." It's like
he's
because he's
injured, but he's on holiday.
I know, yeah. I'm not on holiday. Like people just weren't happy. Like, well, some people, I don't think a lot of sensible people were just like, it doesn't matter. He's recuperating and spending and like knowing his body better than anybody else, and he's been through a lot as well to know that.
He doesn't have to like be lying in bed, fucking dying or vomiting all the time, or
Yeah,
with his leg falling off.
it's not like he's got COVID like back in the day. Why
Yeah.
isn't he isolating?
And the thing is as well, he's got a club and a club manager to think about as well. So he's gone to holiday in New York. He's not run that past Eric Ten Hag, has he? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because people like Christian Eriksen, I think it was Christian Eriksen who did a thing for the Man United Instagram page, and he was just like, "There's nobody here. It's quite different actually, because he's rehabilitating and everything like that." I'm sure there are some players still at Manchester United.
This is this lad I've never met called Brandon Williams. He keeps walking around saying hello to me. I've never heard of him.
Sir Philip Jones.
Hey, Phil, buddy, I haven't seen you in ages.
What are you up to with yourself these days?
Oh, nothing. Okay.
Yeah, injured, sames. But yeah, he's gone to New York. Twitter outrage, we've kind of discussed that. Some headlines. This doesn't help when you've got headlines, including Gareth Southgate not pleased at Marcus Rashford. Gareth Southgate defends Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford has pissed everybody off except for Gareth Southgate by going on holiday. Gareth Southgate has no issue with Marcus Rashford's trip to New York.
They've gone every single which way possible, haven't they? They've gone, he's outraged, he's pissed off, he's really okay with it, he's happy with him, and he has no opinion. all from him just going, fine.
And like, he's also defending him because the one was everybody else but Southgate is pissed off. He's like, "Oi,
Yeah.
can't you slag him off?"
It's like he's got different heads he's putting on, and one just pops out with a different opinion. It's just fucking mad, isn't it? Really, and
So
it's almost just to have what you say. The words, "Oh, he's pissed off." It's just having that with the word Rashford and Southgate. People won't even read the headlines. They go, "Oh, he's pissed off with him." Have you seen?
Yeah. Oh god! But what was actually said? I couldn't get the question that was posed to him up. But the response was, well, the feeling was he was playing really well, but we haven't often had him. So in terms of a loss, when you haven't had him that often, then it's different to being a loss. But without a doubt, he was in good form. We were looking forward to seeing him. Pissed off, slammed.
Furious as he slammed the journalist.
Now, I think there is very, very much nothing in it. But do you think that maybe Southgate, like, if he was genuinely that bothered, he wouldn't have said it like that? But do you think there is something to it? Or has it just been something to it in terms of I haven't even looked at the stats. Has Rashford been missing more than a fair amount? I know he was dropped for a bit as well, but like...
I think that's more the point, is that, I think people are reading into what they want to with this and not probably taking the full context. So back at the Euros, obviously, Rashford had pretty much extended his career with declined his career possibly with the injury that he played through. Didn't he have a shoulder injury that he put off having surgery on so he could play at the Euros? So he chose England essentially over United for that period, so he could come back later in the season, hopefully, with more form.
He chose England over resting and recuperating his body.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So instead of that, then he, missed the penalty and never played for England again until he played at the World Cup, because he played himself back into form. So he wasn't in good enough form to be selected by Southgate. You then go through the other way of now he's back playing. Southgate plays him, sporadically throughout the World Cup. But as we've said a million times, there is you've got to fit this person in there. You just have to, with Phil Foden and Saka. And, Sterling as well was in there too. Although Sterling, I think, he was missing for the France game from memory, wasn't he? Because he had issues at home.
I think he came back for that game.
Yeah. Well, either way, I don't think he started from memory. But either way, you had, a team that was still playing at that time. Rashford, had played well when he'd given a chance, but he was the weapon from the bench. Now, from memory as well, he only got 5 minutes at the end of that France game, which is what everyone talks about now. Oh, you had him. You didn't even bloody play him. But if you remember that last 5 minutes, there's probably about 7 minutes of injury time in there as well. Yeah. And longer than that, because there was the big VAR delay during that game, which pushed it on even further.
Yeah, I would have liked to see more.
And that game was really in the balance as well. Like, it was so tight. Neither manager really were making changes because they just thought, as it's going at the minute, we're still in it.
I would have liked to have seen more of him in that game, but then there wasn't much opportunity for him to actually.
But I
do
think
that.
it's slight hindsight with that a little
Yeah.
bit of I would like to have seen him. Well, yeah, I guess we all would, but you have the question of who are you bringing off in that, because Saka was playing really well, for example. He's probably going to play on that right hand side. Foden was the big player that everyone said you have to play him.
Yeah.
Mason Mount ended up winning the penalty. He's not going to take Harry Kane off, so you kind of go out of options here. And when he does come on, there was an impact made, but it was too late because the game had passed it on, and the substitutes weren't able to be made, I think.
And in the time since that game, he's put himself into the role of probably England's most informed player, and somebody, as Gareth said, we were looking forward to seeing him, but we haven't. And I don't think either man is going to let this mini storm affect anything for England. I'll be absolutely shocked if by the time the tournament comes around, we're going, they did have that little sort of, back and forth, and things haven't quite been the same.
And maybe actually this is just it's him just saying, look, we haven't had him often because really he wasn't good enough to be in the team for a long period of time, because he wasn't, Man United fans a lot of fans didn't want him at the club, past this season. And then he's come back, he's done incredibly well. And you just have to think, he hasn't been there, but maybe it's just a thing for Southgate to say, we do want you at England, and we want you to be sticking around, and we do want you turning up for squads. But you can understand here if you've got to, pick your body over playing for England and the long-term gains that you can get with that. But just remember, we do want you coming.
Yeah, you can't every time unless it's a World Cup and just get called up to the squad. You're not Zlatan Ibrahimovic. That's an interesting point. Very, very well made. If I do say so myself, I kind of get Gareth's point as well. It's as saying, I don't know, say if it was the same thing with James Maddison or somebody like that, and he'd been the Premiership's most informed player since the World Cup, and then he had to withdraw from the squad, and then they're like, well, did you miss him? And it just hasn't been there. You could say about a million different players. It just so happens it's Rashford, and he's a big name, and everyone wants to see Gareth Southgate because they genuinely seem like nice people. People hate them. And those two having a fight and slamming each other is just absolute clickbait.
Absolutely.
But very good point, well made, regarding probably the little grain of truth. Well, that's what makes a good story, isn't it? Just a little bit of
exactly.
truth.
If he could have just said, maybe they said to him, did you miss Marcus Rashford? Yes.
That's what they should all be, and then they'll go miserable. Oh God. Anyway, we'll switch gears from misery. I thought this was a good story. I had no idea. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink is part of the England coaching staff. How's about that? Apparently, go on.
I was going to say, it's such a football manager appointment. This is like when you just kind of go, right, who can I get in my coaching team who's going to make the players, these numbers go up, and you go, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink, look at his stats, brilliant. You are attacking coach on set pieces, and you just bring them in for that one thing, and they've got nothing else in there. It's such a weird move.
He was approached to join Gareth's team after Chris Powell stood down to concentrate on his job as head of coaching in Tottenham's academy. Interesting. Maybe he had an idea that the manager was about to change. Maybe he'll get promoted all the way up to manager. They won't go for Nagelsmann. I had no idea what to expect because in my mind, Hasselbaink he's a bit of a TV personality, isn't he? He's just a player I remember from being a kid as being brilliant. I'm talking my very early days in football. And I think he's had a couple of funny moments on the ITV studio or what have you. But it was one of those moves where I was like, that's left field. And I like it. And I like it for that. Gareth has said Jimmy will bring a presence. He's got great energy. He has a high interest in the tactical side of the game. He's typically Dutch, a student.
Classic Dutch.
I think he's going to bring a lot to our coaching team. Classic Dutch. I mean, a bit of racism in there from Gareth Southgate whilst welcoming Jimmy.
He is generically Dutch.
He's your typical Dutchman, and I'll say nothing more. He spent much of the past decade sort of in and out of management, taking his stints with Royal Antwerp, 2 at Burton Albion, 1 at QPR, and 1 at Northampton Town. This is his first coaching, so not managing, but coaching position since being Sean O'Driscoll's assistant at Nottingham Forest between 2011 and 2013. Is he going to win us the World Cup?
Yes.
Moving on then.
Moving swiftly on, yes.
No, is there anything further that you have to add on that? I think it's I did see, and I think this was from the official story. There was a note about it being trying to sort of diversify the England coaching staff, and I don't think that just meant in terms of race or skin color. I think it means in terms of experience and background and skills. I mean, he played. I'm presuming he played Champions League football or very high sort of UEFA Cup.
Yeah, he would.
Later
Yeah,
stage.
and he'd have played international football quite a lot as well for the Netherlands. And yeah, possibly. It's interesting. He never stands out to me when he's on the television as being like a really good pundit, because a lot of the times he's on. Not that he's on Chelsea games, so that means that he doesn't know what he's talking about. But it's interesting because you never think of him as. I always just think of him in the middle of like Keane and Souness, just being like more of the calm one.
Yeah.
And just not being spitting with rage and venom constantly. I think there's a bit like a still of him just pulling like a face when like people are having like an argument. But when I turn on the TV and I see Hasselbaink, I never think brilliant. I'm looking forward to hearing what he's got to say. But just in the terms of it's interesting then that what does he say as a coach in comparison to when he's in TV mode?
And what does it say about moving forward for the England setup as well? You know, we could be seeing all sorts of people. We could have Zola in there, just old school Prem with Toure, Andre Flo,
Clarence Seedorf. That's the dream.
Seedorf, get him in there. I just want really left wing 90s Prem players as part of it.
Just get him in there as well.
Yeah. Is there any link with Southgate and him? Did they ever play together or anything?
They played at Middlesbrough together actually, under McLaren as well. So yeah. So yeah, they did at that point as well. I think he was only there for a year or two, because I think he moved around a little bit. He was at Cardiff. Obviously, he'd been at Chelsea and Leeds when he started off in English football. And I want to say there's another club, like another weird club in there that you never associate him with. But yeah, he was there for a period of time, and obviously they must have got on, and they know each other from back in the day too. So
yeah, well, excited to see how he contributes. I think he's mainly kind of working with strikers and what have you. I'm sure that's what I read anyway. So hopefully he can help Harry Kane, get a few
he's been
goals.
faltering recently, hasn't he?
Let's have a look then at the Ukraine game then, because in between those two huge monster stories that we've just covered, there was a game of football. But before even the game of football, as we know with England from time to time, especially when there's a milestone to be celebrated, well, if we're celebrating one milestone, let's get loads of other admin in as well. Do you think that's just because England don't play every week and they're like, shit, what's happened in the last few months, we have to catch up on?
Yeah. Someone's like just tallying it up in the background of like, right, next time I see you, you've got this like a secretary with like talking to someone like, right, I've got a lot to talk to you about now. Let's just get through all this now. Come on.
We had anthems, obviously, a presentation for Harry Kane, a tribute to sort of the Ukraine, applause for the death of George Cohen, and a honorary cap given for Jack Leslie, who was the first black player to be called up for England. Didn't get a cap because his name mysteriously disappeared from the team sheet, and then whatever reason there was for that, he didn't get that call up. So members of his family accepted that honorary cap. We've kind of started off as a joke about the admin, but all good causes.
Yeah, absolutely. There's all ones you kind of understand in there as well. I think the Ukraine players came out, because I did just catch just the start of the game. I caught all the admin, so that was great. All the Ukraine players came out wearing flags as well for Ukraine as well, which was really good. And I think we mentioned that there was going to be a lot of Ukraine support there as well. They were all in one corner, which was really good to see.
Definitely. The England team was strong again. You predicted he would go strong. Strong, including Jordan Henderson as well, which is a unique version of strong.
I just didn't need to see that really on my Sunday afternoon. Just the word Henderson 8 or whatever he had in there. It's like that's the one thing I'd probably say. That's the bit where I want to go be a bit more daring and brave, maybe. Where like really could Conor Gallagher not have played there? Although I will say, Ukraine, I think they finished their last qualification. They finished above Portugal in one of them, because Portugal obviously can never just qualify for a tournament. Normally, they've got to go through the playoffs or something. So I think they're a decent enough side, and maybe that was the security of, okay, we're playing at Madison, who's kind of his first game proper for England. So maybe that's the bit of security in there with, Phillips having already put in such a shift in Italy. You couldn't really go, right, another 90 minutes, please.
Well, that was what I wanted to say. Really, is Maddison started. Also, actually, no, I wanted to say I think Jordan Henderson's pretty decent. I'm turning him into a bit of a joke for the pod because I know you're not a fan, and I do think we probably should be replacing him. But just for the record, good lad. But yeah, James Maddison started. He put in a good performance, I thought. I'll just jump to it now. Did you see Chris Sutton saying that he did a story basically calling him undroppable now.
Undroppable.
I would have thought that he's undroppable now after that performance.
Undroppable. Pretty sure he didn't set up any goals or score any.
No, he didn't.
He was
You
just
don't
fine.
need to do that to be undroppable, but...
Well, I don't know. I saw very little of the game. I saw people saying he was good, and that was kind of all you need to know. It's just Chris Sutton trying to just be absolutely mental, isn't it? He's just an insane human being who just says things just to get reactions and kind of. Is he an underrated idiot?
Oh no, I think he's very well known as an idiot.
Yeah,
I think he's he's up there. How he's still doing it for the BBC and not a TalkSport shill, I don't know.
Yeah, he feels like he's like the mad one in the BBC kind of punditry audience because everyone's like quite measured usually, even though they have some people on there that I'm not like mad on. Yeah. But is he not? Is he too mad for not mad enough for TalkSport, too mad for the BBC? Like, where is his little thing? Should he go on like I don't know where should he go?
Where should he go?
Appropriate.
YouTube. Have his own channel. He should join Goldbridge's channel. Although I don't think he's got any affection towards Man United, so maybe not.
No, most probably not. No, hasn't he made like a big thing a while ago, just saying like he will only refer to a club as United if it's Newcastle or something mental.
Yeah, there you go. There was that as well.
There's two Uniteds actually.
Oh my God.
Lots of Uniteds.
Wasn't his England experience not refusing to play for the under-21s and then never getting a look in ever again?
Yeah, because basically there was millions of strikers who were better than Chris Sutton knocking around, so he's just constantly bitter about it.
Yeah. The Ukraine's starting lineup included Zinchenko after
who we thought wasn't playing.
I didn't want to say nothing at the time, but I knew it, mate.
Oh yeah, clearly. Because I looked through a list. I think it was on the FA's website, and I just couldn't see his name on there. I was like, oh, because he was injured for the last Arsenal game from memory.
Yeah. Well, he didn't have to travel too far, did he? Like maybe some of the others.
Yeah, true.
Actually, I'm up for it.
I'll do this one. It's in London.
It's in London. The first 30 minutes or so of the game, quite entertaining, I thought. It was actually seemed quite equal, and I thought Ukraine looked solid. And there was a couple of moments where maybe a better pass or a little bit of more slack defending from England would have seen them have a really good chance. But yeah, I don't know. What did you think? Did you think it looked kind of? I thought it would be one of England's sort of more interesting games, especially after the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, and I guess with the having played in Italy as well, there's that danger of a come down straight afterwards too. And like I said, Ukraine are an all right team. It's not like some idiots who come into England to play. They play quite regularly at tournaments and don't disgrace themselves at all. And yeah, I think it got to that point, and then obviously Kane's goal opens it all up, doesn't it? And I think if you put in the notes, of course he scored. It just had to happen on his big. I think I said on his big day. Harry Kane, like it was his birthday or something. Yeah,
it was. It really did feel like a matter of time. He had to have that moment, didn't he, in front of Wembley after breaking the record in Italy, to really celebrate that. I kind of feel like, I don't know. I guess there just isn't an appropriate celebration for it when it happens, like the way it has, and just after the heartbreak of a World Cup and what have you. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's when he retires, we'll see.
Maybe it's when he stops playing for England that happens. Because really, I think, is he 29 now? I mean, he's going to play on for another period of time. So he'll go to the next tournament, you imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine he'll make the next World Cup.
I wouldn't be shocked if he did.
Don't know. 32, 33, is that then?
Yeah, come on, mate. He's good enough for that.
Do you not remember Shearer when we watched some of those games when he is just flagging himself out and just being like, I am playing every single week here?
Yeah, well, you'd hope Kane would have some competition by that point. But that's not to say he might be one of those guys. He's like, I'm either captain or just drop me.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Just shoot me.
I feel like his ability to score is never going to go away, and that could always be helpful in a tournament. But we're getting ahead of ourselves there. Speaking of getting ahead of yourself, actually, I listened to a podcast earlier. They had an advert break in it for one of the bookies, and they were like, "Congratulations to Harry Kane, he's broke England's record. We've now got him as 9-1 to score more than 80 for the Free Lions." I was like, "That's a leap."
80?
He's on 55 now. It's taking like it's possible, but
Let's get Liechtenstein in there now quickly. Let's get a lot of friendlies with them.
I suppose it's a good bet. But that would be smashing that record to bits, wouldn't it?
And that is one that you would imagine would last for a significant amount of time, because I guess there's always been, over the last couple of years, really, strikers who are the ones that are coming next. Like if you look backwards, you've had Wayne Rooney who underlapped with Harry Kane. Before that, you had Michael Owen, Alan Shearer around that point as well. So England have consistently had goal scorers, and then Lineker, I guess, before Shearer too, who've all kind of like put that record to danger. But it was Rooney who obviously broke it, and then Kane. And you don't see that next goal scorer yet. Maybe they'll emerge over the next few years. But you look at someone like a Tony, I don't think he's going to break it, really, is he?
Jesus Christ, no. I mean, he's played 5 minutes.
I know. Maybe he could put a bet on it. No, you never know.
Hey,
we didn't really talk about kind of the inclusion of Tony and why is he being called up for this one when it looks like his ban is getting ever closer in comparison to the World Cup where it was far away potentially.
Was he called up before Rashford when he was in the?
So he was in the original main squad, yeah, because I don't think Southgate brought anybody into the team.
I mean, his form is not exactly much better than it was. It's probably the same as it was.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit worse. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just that World Cup thing of like, if he's the guy who flipping wins us the World Cup, or just comes on as a sub in the last game and scores a World Cup winning goal, then gets banned for the rest of his career.
Yeah,
but that's a lot of sort of ifs and buts there.
Was it just the fact that it would have been the distraction, maybe, at England there? Because like, the media would have talked about it all the time. It would always been on social media and chats amongst fans. It's not taking him was just the easy option, wasn't it? Which I think really was the correct one, because you can't take a player like that
Was this his first call up?
I think he had a call up before, but I want to say like he got a call up to the internationals, just before the World Cup.
Yeah.
So he got a call up to that, but he didn't come off the bench in either because they were still Nations League games. So they were still seen as competitive, and I think Kane scored in maybe one of them. And, England, Harry Kane's not really going to play without it. Sorry.
Did we get relegated from that? I can't even remember anything.
I think so, yeah.
I think we did get relegated. But yeah, Kane got his goal, as you say, just had to happen. An assist from Saka. And then an excellent goal from Saka for the second. A really, really, really nice finish. That pristine technique. Absolutely loved it.
It's his special move now, isn't it? That he's turned that into just a trademark of what he will constantly do. And it's just so hard. You can see how, in theory, you could stop something like that. But as people like Iron Robin have shown, stopping them is a totally different thing.
Southgate must be a bit like... Obviously, we'll say a billion times, he's done so well. And we kind of talk about his crop, his boys, and I think he must be thinking, why couldn't my boys have been why did I have to start with like Ashley Young and Henderson, Dele Alli as like must
Henderson's getting a mention still,
and must start players, and then why couldn't it have been when I had Saka, Grealish as like options and stuff like that. Playing flipping Lingard when he started, and he's ending up with Saka. I mean, regardless of form, that's a big level up for him. And the next manager is going to probably benefit a lot from that, you'd have thought.
I think so. And it's weird because in the week he kind of mentioned about the talent pool getting smaller in England, which I didn't particularly agree with. But it was a bit of a strange comment because it feels like he's going through the emotions of every England manager. Like they start off, they go, no, there's no egos here. We're not going to take anybody's, what they've done before. and nothing's going to precede them. They're going to be in here on form and on merit. Then they go through the stage of actually these guys have done really well for me in the past and all that, and then it's the tested kind of thing of, well, if you're not careful, I'm going to have to start picking from the Championship.
Yeah.
And it's like every England manager does that.
It is a weird one. I didn't read too much around it, probably because I felt like it's too big a topic to just kind of cram in. And I guess we'll see how it develops over time. But
I'm pretty sure the under-21s beat France under-21s like 2 days ago. And I'm just like, that looks like the production lines that are going pretty well at the minute.
I think France, it was 4-0 in the beat.
Yeah, 4-0. I was more amazed that Curtis Jones was still playing for the under-21s. I thought he was about 24.
I know. Good player. Angel Gomez as well,
Angel Gomez, yeah. You still find him.
Yeah. As we said a million times, that the under-21 never really translates up to, it's not just a direct level up, is it, to the senior team?
Yeah.
Because obviously Saka could probably still do a job for those under-21s, you'd have thought.
Yeah.
But
Wayne Rooney, I don't think ever won an under-21s cap. I'm not messing around with that, sod it. I'm going to go and beat up France at the Euros.
Southgate said of Saka's progress, you expect him to score now when he goes through. That's been a mentality shift as much as anything technical. He was then asked whether he sees anyone better than Saka in his position in world football.
Unhelpful question.
And Southgate said, I'm not going to get drawn into where he fits into world football because that puts me in danger of doing all the things we shouldn't be doing with him. But he's progressing brilliantly. He's a joy to work with, and we should leave it at that. God, I'm going to miss him.
Yeah, just being sensible.
You just can see so many England managers from the past, just their eyes lighting up and going, actually, yeah, this will give him a boost. I think he's the best player in the world.
He's literally the greatest player I've ever seen in my life. I just don't know what we do without him. And then it cuts to him injured.
Yeah, or just like absolutely hating it, and then cuts to him 20 years later going, I just never really liked playing for England. But yeah, he loves it. He's smashing it, and the game was pretty quiet from there on out, right through to the end, really.
Yeah, it seemed that way, and it just seemed like I saw when the substitute was made near the end as well, and it was a bit silly because it was like 80 some odd minutes. Like he makes the subs, like managers up and down the country would have been going, "Why have you not made it sooner? My player's still on the pitch."
I don't think there were any. There weren't any injuries, but Phil Foden's had to have his appendix taken out, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, that's done really well for my FPL draft team. I'm delighted about that.
Up next for England is nothing really until June. When we play Malta away, and then it's Macedonia at Wembley.
Yeah, the big one, North Macedonia.
The classics. A lot's going to happen then between. A lot is going to happen between now and then at sort of club level. It's going to be those games, isn't it, where they're playing when you're like, why are they playing these games? They should be resting now. Was it
in the summer where England played four Nations League games, I think, in the space of like 2 weeks, and they were the ones where you were just like, all right, lads, come on, this is stupid.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it'll be quite as bad as them because I think it is just the two, unless they tag some on. I did look earlier. I couldn't see any Nations League games or friendlies other than the Scotland one.
I think there's an Australia one near the end of the year.
Okay.
I think England are playing Australia because I definitely think around that time we should maybe do the infamous Sven makes 11 changes at half time, and he told everybody he was going to do it as well.
Yeah, what a legend! Well, we'll look for ways to keep ourselves and listeners entertained in between now and June. We've been talking about some interesting ideas on WhatsApp and other messaging, just WhatsApp actually, not other messaging forums, emails, I guess. And we'll be back with some fresh episodes and some fresh ideas soon. Nick, do you have anything to add before we go?
No, that's it. In terms of new England games, we'll see you in June for when we're playing our 9th reserve right back and whatever happens when everyone else's legs have fallen off. So great stuff.
Time can do. Baby, you mean everything to me. Darling, there's no danger got news